Hi, I'm Dom, and this is the first episode of my little show that I like to call Sustainable Living with Dom. And today, my episode is going to focus on holidays, because whether or not the holidays just happened or they're a couple months away, it's never too early to start planning to ensure for a more sustainable holiday. So, as this is the first episode, you probably want to know who I am, why I have the authority to be talking to you about sustainable living. And I majored in environmental studies from Illinois Wesleyan University back in 2019. But before that, I received a book in 4th grade from my mom called True Green Kids, 100 Ways to Save the Planet. And I took that to heart, and I have been saving the planet ever since. And I know there's a lot of discourse going on about the role that individual actions have to play. And I've always been a proponent that your choice does matter and your behavior does matter. So I'm hoping that you would follow me along, learn something from the show, and feel free to ask me any questions you have. And I hope the show is a chance for you to see that there's little things that we can do that really do make a big difference, whether it's locally, regionally, or even sometimes globally. So, this show, like I said, is going to talk about things that we can do to be more sustainable. And the reason why I'm talking about the holidays is because the holidays substantially see more waste produced by each household than the rest of the year. And also, holidays happen all around the calendar year. We have the 4th of July in the middle of summer, we have birthdays, we have Valentine's Day, Halloween. I mean, every holiday, I feel, comes with a lot of expectations and a lot of to-do lists, right? That oftentimes lead to more waste because there's a lot of things that have to get done specifically for this holiday, whether it's cooking the food, whether it's, getting the drinks together, whether it's putting together, party favors or activities. There's a lot of opportunities to navigate the holidays in a way where you don't have to make a lot of waste. And I've always been really good about repurposing or being mindful of what I'm actually bringing into my house so that the holidays are not a wasteful time, but a chance to showcase the important things, which is spending time together with people that you care and love. So, the holidays, whether they just happened or they're coming up, there's a lot of dualities with holidays because there's very stressful, especially if you're the one doing the cooking, which I just learned this last Thanksgiving is a whole thing, and I have utmost respect for any matriarch or patriarch that is the sole cooker of their party. So, they just happened. They're very stressful. But they're also really fun because you get to see people you maybe haven't seen for a long time, and there's a whole abundance but also scarcity because we live in such a scarce, mindset sometimes where one neighbor may have everything and the other neighbor may have nothing. So there's a lot of dualities with the holidays, and because they happen with such velocity, it's super easy for our waste to start to build and build and build and build. So I'm going to talk to you about a couple ways, primarily with the winter holidays, with like Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa, the really big commercial, but also, just longer festivities, and that lead to more waste. And so the reason why, though, that I'm harping on waste today is because packaging waste is 36% of what ends up in our landfills. So we have an obligation, right, with that stat, to think about, how can I avoid packaging that's going to end up in a landfill? So whenever you're looking at a holiday, planning is key, as I'm sure many of you know at home. Planning is key. And that means, though, that as soon as the holiday's over, you have an opportunity to prepare for next year. Which means thinking about, okay, what went right, what went wrong, how can I make this all more seamless, a little more nicer, a little less wasteful, right? So, for example, Thanksgiving this year, my table settings were little mini pumpkins. I made sure they ended up in the compost instead of the landfill. And the centerpieces that were the bigger pie pumpkins, I took those home and ate them. So I made pumpkin mac and cheese like, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. So yeah, there's ways to think about, okay, well, how can I avoid waste? And we're going to talk right now, and we're going to focus, like I said, on the 2025 like winter holidays, because there's some things you can do right now to prepare. And it's all about collecting, right? Collecting the packaging, because a lot of us do a lot of online shopping, right? So let me get my little bag of props. I dumpstered over this bag because there's no strings, but who cares, right? We can still use it. It's still a functioning bag. A lot of us, we get paper, wrapping paper, and not the kind like the fancy kind, but like brown paper or this kind of off-white paper. Start saving it now, right? And if it's a little bit wrinkly, there's ways to iron it out. Not literally because it'll set on fire, but there's ways to like flatten it out, do that thing along the table like this, make it nice and flat and smooth. I don't personally care because I know who this gift is going to, and they know that they love me and they would not judge me. Which is actually what a lot of people will do, is they won't actually care how you wrap their gifts. The fact that you're giving them a gift, they're gonna love it anyway. But right now, what I like to do is I like to have a little bin. Maybe it's a Christmas bin, right? An accessible Christmas bin or holiday decor bin, right? Save all this packaging that you're getting from your Amazon packages, from your online shopping packages. This is not waste. Paper is paper, it's not wasteful. It's very reusable. So if I know that they're gonna rip this apart, at least I'm gonna give it one more use. So we can start, I'll leave that out for everyone to look. We can start saving our paper. Here's another example. I save so much paper all the time. And let me see what my little notes say. Bags, reusing your bags, even if it's a birthday bag or an Easter bag, I never write on the bag because then you have to throw it out, right? If it says like, to Susan, well, now it only has to, either you reuse it and give it to Susan next year, which, might be a little too much, right? We're trying to ease into the sustainability mindset. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to write on it. So what you could do is you could take a little paper clip and make a nice card. You can upcycle an old card, maybe, right? And then you can clip with their name, and then you can unclip it. Save these bags for future gatherings, future holidays. And the same goes for tissue paper, right? Unless you are like wrapping something where it needs to be ripped, if you just loosely pack your packages with this, it's very reusable. So start saving now, right? Maybe you were able to save some from the Christmas morning, rushing down, getting your packages, ripping them open. Maybe you're able to save some of that. So so you want to save it now. Keep it. I like to keep it with my holiday stuff, so I know exactly which holidays I need packaging material for. Right? Could be this. These could be used for Easter baskets. If you celebrate Easter and you use Easter baskets. I'm going to continue with upcycling. Like I mentioned, you can use the cards to make tags, but also what I like to do is when I receive a card, I like to save the part that has the nice message, and the front, right? So we're looking at a card. There's that folds up. The decorative part, I like to kind of rip it off, clean it up, and then I use that next year to make a card for someone that I love. And I don't send the same card to the same person. Like, let's use some little common sense here. Punch a hole in it, and I like to make it really nicely done. I take the time to decorate, to draw, really make it nice, and then I like to surprise them by hanging it on their tree. And we'll see if they notice it. If not, then Christmas morning you can pull the ornament off the tree, they can read it, and then now it's a keepsake ornament. It's like your own version of a Hallmark. So that's the way you can upcycle some cards. And then another way to reduce waste in general is to make sure you're properly recycling things. So I'm sure we may or may not all have heard the term wish cycling, which is when you put something that you wish could be recycled into your blue bin, goes curbside, they see it in there, the whole thing will go to the landfill because they're not going to sort it, right? So avoid wish cycling during your holidays by knowing what goes in the bin and what does not. So this kind of wrapping paper is recyclable. The metallic and glittery kind, it's not. So make sure you've taken the plain paper. A rule of thumb that I've heard sometimes is if you rip it and can tear it easily, then it's recyclable. Obviously, bows and ribbons, you can't recycle those, but you could upcycle them, keep them in storage for next year. Same thing with glittery cards. Can't recycle glitter. Glitter is like kind of the bane of my existence. And you also want to make sure that you are not recycling styrofoam. So we all know we all get a lot of gifts that sometimes have packaging foam. That's not recyclable curbside. So you want to make sure that you don't recycle that because that's bad. So what you can do though for styrofoam is, again, it's also very reusable. You just have to think about which ways you could use it. So packing peanuts, easily reusable, obviously. You can also take them to a UPS store. They will reuse them. The cubes of foam, you can save them for your own personal holiday storage, right? Making sure all your fragiles stay intact for the next year. Or you can figure out ways to use them around your house. Crafting or other storage, maybe spray painting things on it. If it's a big sheet of styrofoam, use it as a spray paint to make sure you don't get the paint everywhere else. So some places, especially where this is being filmed, Auburn, New York, have recycling drop-off programs. And so my advice to you is, if you are receiving a lot of styrofoam around the holidays, save it and find a place that can accept it for reuse or recycling. A lot of foam companies that make it, they will take it back if it's clean and if it's white, because they can pelletize it, remold it, and there you go. So I encourage everyone to do a little Google search, see if there's an organization that's doing it, a recycling program, or if there's a business that actually will take it back. The reason why some wrapping paper isn't recyclable is because it's actually a mixture of materials, right? So it's plastic, but it's also aluminum, but it's also paper fused together, which is how it gets that like glittery or metallic feel or tint to it. Which is why I always default to this, because it is more recyclable. So when holidays come around, what's really great is if you can opt for the most recyclable material or the more recyclable material, right? So red Solo cups, they're not recyclable curbside, but the metal ones are. So if you have a little bit of extra money in your budget and you really don't want to do dishes, they sell metal ones that metal is infinitely recyclable. Or if you want to, still, opt for the cheaper option, and you don't have a bunch of dishes, right, that you can, you don't have 30 glasses to offer to this gathering of people, you can actually wash red Solo cups by putting them in the top shelf of your dishwasher. That's a little hack from my mom. My mom is very thrifty and very sustainable. She doesn't even know it sometimes, but she's one of the big influences in my life when it comes to learning how to live with a little less treading on the planet and our resource use. So, back to packaging, right? When we're packaging something, we can go either way. We can overpack it and use a lot of materials. We can make sure the box fits it properly so we don't really have to overpack it with extra padding. Or we could think about things logically. Like if I'm going to ship, these are obviously books. If I'm going to ship this book, I don't need to package anything, right? If the book in the box gets flipped around, it's not going to break the book, right? I just sent my mom for her birthday, a big milestone birthday. I won't say which because in case she's watching. I sent her a Celine Dion gift set. And it came in a nice box and I just wrapped the box with a brown paper bag and said, that's the box that's going in, because everything had the little compartments for everything. Sometimes we tend to overpack, right? And we can avoid our waste by not overpacking. We can also think about, when will I see this person? Maybe you can not ship your package and just drop it by their house, right? Or if you see them at work or you see them running around town, you can have a plan to meet it up and give them the gift without having to ship it, which also reduces the chance of that gift breaking if it's a fragile item. So let me just see what I've talked about here, because there's been a lot. I've thrown a lot of information at you. A lot of it's had to do with packaging, because again, I said 36% of our landfill waste is packaging. Sorry, it's my first. Can you tell this is my first show? Because it's definitely my first show. I think I hit all of that. So let's just talk about gifts in general, because I feel that the reason why the malls are so packed during a few select months of the year is because we like to procrastinate. We as a species like to procrastinate. The way we can avoid that and avoid just purchasing gifts through a mass retailer or a big box store is we can start thinking about someone's gift like months in advance. Like, what do I want to get that person? And then while you're in small businesses, or while you're traveling, or maybe you're thrifting or antiquing, think about, they've been talking about that item. Maybe I'll give it to them for Christmas. You can have a box in your house of things like, oh, this is for so-and-so for their birthday. This is for so-and-so for Valentine's Day. Then when you have it and you think, when you see it and when you think of them, you can get it, save it for when the actual date comes. And that'll reduce the stress of having to run out and get something. It'll reduce the urge to just mass click a cart on Amazon, and it will also help you create and curate a gift that really means something, support your local economy, and also kind of help the planet out, because let's face it, when we're buying a bunch of things from Amazon, we don't know where it's shipped from. If you're buying something that's in your local community, it's already there. So the additional carbon comes from you driving it to and from your house, right? But also what you can think about, too, is gifting experiences or gift cards to experiences, right? Like I don't know, name your favorite grocery store or theme park and give them a gift card to that theme park. Because we need to have a conversation about consumerism and how it isn't good for the planet, which is why I'm talking about thrifting and upcycling and repurposing, and this is from a dumpster I pulled that from, because at the end of the day, like these holidays, like I said, the holidays are meant to be a way for us to connect with each other and to share our love and to share in the festivities of it all, and just to remember that we're human and that face-to-face interactions with people that we love, that's what's important in life, not necessarily the gifts. Like, that's a fun little sprinkle on top, right? And so that's why I've kind of really hit home on all the packaging and upcycling, because I don't like to buy things personally. I don't like to buy things, especially if I can reuse it or find it. And the same thing goes with gifts. I really do find it hard to buy people gifts, especially if I know they don't need anything, right? Like, do they really need that? Do they really need that? Or do they really want it? If they really want it, I'm like, sure. Doll out my money, swipe my credit card, here you go. But gifting experiences, that's something unique, because oftentimes you can do it for two, so you can share that experience with that person, and then they can have that memory of, my friend, they bought me this and we did it together and it was so much fun, and they will carry that through the rest of their life. So gifting experience is a way to cut back on consumerism, on items that might end up in a landfill, because if you a lot of these returns, people if they go into a gift with, they can always return it, a lot of returns, newsflash, they get chucked, because no one knows, did they wear it? Did they spill something on it? Did they break it? Did they tear it? They just landfill it. So that's why gifting experiences can avoid that component. basically, we've hit home on all the consumables, the tangible items. I kind of would like to talk about party favors because I think when people plan party favors, it's something fun that lasts maybe 30 seconds to a minute, and then you have all that garbage. So opt to not do that. Maybe like a toast, alcoholic or non-alcoholic, has the same effect of blowing up balloons and popping them, or blowing up streamers, or those little confetti poppers. Like, all that is garbage. But cracking open a beverage that everyone can share, that has the same kind of effect, but it's a consumable, so you don't have to throw it in a landfill. And food, making sure you're properly preparing your food, making sure you are composting any scraps or using it for like stock. But like I said, for the Thanksgiving meal that I prepared, I made sure I measured all the food out portion-wise. I made sure that we ate all of it for leftovers, so reinventing your leftovers into the next meal. So like potato pancakes instead of mashed potatoes. Be inventive. The way to reduce waste is to be inventive. How can I use this so that it doesn't go to waste? And for a lot of food, it's hard to kind of have that mentality, but I think it's something that's really important. And if you go into the holiday that you're preparing for, knowing, okay, I have this meal, this meal, this meal, I have this dish, this dish, this dish, how much do I really need? How much can be eaten as leftovers? How much people really want of this particular menu item? And start to proportion it out like that. I think we as a society need to be okay with, hey, if we run out of food, we run out of food. Like, sorry you didn't get your pumpkin pie, or sorry you didn't get your second hamburger, but we only had enough for one for everybody. I think there's a stigma with running out of food that it's like not good, but I think it's so fun when you don't have leftovers because everyone loved your food and it's all gone, and all you have to do is do the dishes, right? I think it's really fun, and I think we should challenge that as a society of, you know what, I made just enough, and that's okay. That's enough. I don't have to have the pressure to like have this abundance of food that might go to waste. So food, we had packaging and gift giving, we had party favors. Using reusables is hands down such an easy way to save money and also save your waste. And I think that kind of is going to tie up our holiday episode. I feel like I've talked to you guys for so long. Again, my name is Dominic. This is Sustainable Living. These are my little hacks and tips on how to avoid the overabundance of waste that happens after every holiday, right? Whether it's a paper plate, pile, and mountain of garbage, whether it's napkins, whether it's party favors, whether it's wrapping paper or gift bags or what have you, always go into the mindset of, what is this end of life for this item? What is the end of life after this holiday? Well, we're all going to go back to our normal lives. What happens to the landfill? What happens to all this stuff that we're using, right? If you think about it in the future, you're much more able to plan it in the present so that you can live a more sustainable life, have a more joyful holiday without worrying about or feeling guilty about the waste. And hopefully, if you're planning this far ahead like I am, if you can see I've already had some stuff ready for next year, it saves you the stress, and you can actually really focus on what the holidays mean to you, to your family, to your loved ones. You can focus on them